feed them and cut all their feathers. Getting that bird. Oh my God. You're out of practice, man.
So the chickens just had their last hurrah?
We hope so. I got my brothers coming today. We should be able to get the chicken coop at least where we can contain them and livable. And then we'll walk them down. We've got chickens over at my mom's house. We've got chickens in the front yard, the backyard. They're kind of just dispersed. So once we get it done where they can't get out, we'll get them all rounded up and we'll actually know how many we have.
I was sitting at my window this morning overlooking my garden where my piano is, where I wake up every morning and have my coffee and play piano and worship. And I looked out, saw my chickens just feasting in my garden, the whole flock of them. Occasionally like one or two gets in. Hey Kitten George. You wanna say hi to our friends? Say hi friends. So the whole flock was down here. Normally like occasionally one or two chickens will get in the garden, but not all of them. And when it's one or two, they don't do that much damage, but I've sowed so many things this fall that the chickens have come and scratched up because they leave the big plants alone for the most part, maybe pecking at the fruit a little bit, but like usually they leave the plants alone, but the seedlings, they eat up the seedlings, they scratch up the seedlings. And they've scratched up so many seedlings this fall. It's so frustrating, but we're working on the chicken coop. Obviously we've been deterred by circumstances, and this morning I looked down. They were running around with peppers in their mouth. They were scratching in a place where I had fresh radishes coming up, and then I looked over and the turkey was eating a cabbage, and I was so mad. So we got all the kids, we came down here and chased them out of the garden, and Jeremiah said today he's gonna have the coop to a place where we can clip their feathers and put them in that yard. So I believe that was the chicken's last hurrah. I feel like videoing the zinnias every single time I'm out here, since I know they'll be gone soon. A lot of you guys noticed over the last several videos that I haven't quite been myself. Really does touch my heart that you guys noticed that. Part of that is that, you know, we're still processing a lot of grief. Part of that is that we just drove, you know, to like 2,400 miles in less than a week with 5 kids in the car, which was trying. But I will tell you that being home, sleeping in my bed, being out here in the garden, little pocket of the growing season that's left, has done wonders for this farm girl's soul. So thank you guys for noticing. I really do appreciate it. Today is gonna be a really good day. We're getting a lot of stuff done and that just feels good. So let's get to it.
A hammer, and you said, can that hammer be mine to have?
Are you helping Uncle Noah?
Yep, and I'll give it back.
And then you'll give it back. Are you guys gonna finish building the chicken coop? Hey, don't hit Uncle Noah's car.
Yeah, I gotta be careful with that.
The first priority right now on the farm is to get the chicken coop done, obviously, so we can get the chickens out of the garden. The next project is the greenhouse. So the story of our greenhouse is that a few years ago, Jeremiah's Nana and Poppy bought us this as a gift. They bought us a Harbor Freight kit greenhouse and a whole big vault of seeds. It was kind of like my diving board into heirloom gardening. Harbor Freight kit greenhouses are pretty notoriously mediocre in quality. So we read a lot of reviews and watched a lot of videos on how to reinforce it, and we did all of those things. But still, within 3 years, many of the panels had broken down and blown away. So this year, Jeremiah repaired it using fence pickets and 6mm plastic from the store, which was great in theory, but after 1 year, turns out that didn't hold up very well either. So we're actually going to repair the roof one more time here like this week before it gets freezing, and I'm going to be digging up some volunteer tomato plants I've found around the property, putting them in here, possibly digging up some peppers, and I'm going to be planting some things like greens and some things that I can grow throughout the whole winter in the greenhouse. Our plan for next year includes building a greenhouse right down there near the garden out of windows, but we don't want to just give up on this. We've already got quite a lot invested in it. The frame's still good. I mean, we built all of these shelves and all of this stuff within the frame of the kit greenhouse, and we've got a gravel footing, so we've already got a pretty good setup here, minus the fact that it doesn't have a roof. So we're gonna do one more repair to this put a new roof on it and hope that that works pretty well. This is what's going to carry us through this winter. And then our goal is to have the other greenhouse down by the garden done before it's time to start plants in the spring, because I'm going to be starting a whole lot of plants. So here's the material we bought for the roofing. Thank you, Vanna. So this is what we're going to make the roof out of. It's just a sun-tough corrugated polycarbonate sheeting. And hopefully this will hold up much better than the other stuff we've tried. So that's funny. That is a radish. And the only way I can think of that that is growing there is that years ago, right here where it's just soil, I had a raised bed before I had my big garden. I planted radishes in it like a few different seasons. And I had let some bolt to save the seeds. And this must be like those radishes' great grandkid. Here's my little fig tree in my front yard. Kind of see where it is. My mom gave me this last year and I thought it was dead. It was just like a little twig. And I planted it and I just was certain that it had died, but it did not. I need a weed around it, but it's even got a few little baby figs on it. Maybe able to turn out okay after all. Eventually, the plan for our whole front yard is to do like a cottage garden, be a lot of herbs and perennials. And what we're going to do to establish that is put down some sort of barrier, just something mild like some contractor's paper, maybe some cardboard, and bring in wood chips. And we're gonna start that this winter, but I'm not looking to establish this whole thing by next spring. I'm more concerned with the crop garden in the back and getting our in-ground garden in the front established with berry bushes. But I do have like a really cool idea for this front yard space to just make it really beautiful, kind of a little wild. I just have to pace myself because we have a lot going on, and it's so easy when you're doing homesteading because you have such big dreams and such big visions to feel impatient. I always tell everybody, whenever you start a homestead, please make a 5-year plan, not a 1-year plan. It will make your life so much better. We're closing in on 5 years here, and so I'm looking at the next 5-year plan. And honestly, in our first 5 years, I feel really good about what we did. It's not as far as I had originally hoped it would be, but given what actually goes into it, now that I have the experience to understand that, I'm very pleased with what we've gotten done. Hey, come on little shadow. Ben told me this morning that Bear's his dog, but I can pretend like he's my dog if I want to. Thanks, kid. Hey, beautiful girls. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. How are you? My little goaty girls, how do you do? We are getting some things arranged today. And some of these girls are going in with Christopher Walken to be bred. Like Ebony's gonna go in with Christopher Walken. Nestle has already been bred and she's starting to show. I feel pretty confident that she took. And Sook over there, she is definitely showing. They were my first two I put in with Christopher Walken, so they're due in January, the end of January. What do you have? My headphones? Where'd you find those?
Dad found them.
Dad found them. Well, thank you. You know, I love to listen to music. Thank you. They're all getting their winter coats. Look how fluffy. Are you chewing on my camera, silly girl?
Good job, Ben.
I really intended to like put myself together today, but alas, here it is, noon, and I'm cooking beans in the kitchen and haven't brushed my hair in 2 days. So I want to show you guys my new pot. It's a bean pot. Okay, so I've actually got some soup started back here, but these are beans that I soaked last night, and this morning put some bacon and onions sauteed in there and some other seasonings. They haven't been in nearly long enough, but it's starting to smell really good in here. Funny story. The other day I had to go get my eyes checked, which I've actually never had done before because I've always had pretty good vision, but lately I've just kind of noticed some issues when I was driving at night and different things, so I went and got a mild prescription for glasses. And I didn't know what to expect when I was going to get my eyes checked. I didn't know they were going to dilate my eyes. I left there and I could drive because I could see fine. It was just really bright and I had the little plastic shades on. But I was a little nervous about it because my close-up vision was just completely wiped out, which I've never experienced that before. So there's a thrift store right by the optometrist. So I went in the thrift store just so I wouldn't be driving. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let this kind of chill out a little bit before I try to go about my day. And I was looking around at all this stuff, just walking around burning time, and I saw that pot, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a bean pot. But I couldn't read the bottom of the pot. I couldn't read the tag. I didn't even know how much it cost. I had to go ask somebody to read the tag for me. And it was the craziest thing because like I couldn't Google it, I couldn't look it up. And it turns out I made a pretty good purchase. It's like a vintage bean pot. I paid $6 for it. This is my first time to make beans in it. Another news, I am repotting all of these potted plants from the funeral so that I can put them around my house, because so many of the plants that you get like from a florist, like this is like 5 different plants stuffed into one pot. And so I'm separating them all out, putting them in their own pot so that they can thrive, and put them around my house. I thought this pot was funny. This says, please don't die. I thought that was hilarious. I know that I have a green thumb, like I can grow a lot of stuff. Mostly just because we have really good conditions here. I don't know that I'm that exceptional at growing things. I think a lot of times they grow in spite of me, but I've not had great success with houseplants, mostly because of being just wildly negligent. So hopefully I can keep all these houseplants alive. They're gonna be all over the place. I got like 15 houseplants. Yeah. But I thought this kind request of this pot, please don't die, was pretty fitting for my house. Funnily enough, I used to call myself like the hospice for plants because it seems like all the ones that I would get and bring them home, it was no bueno. It took me a while to get the gardening thing down. Jeremiah's down working on the chicken coop. I'm taking him a bowl of beans to try. They're really good. Jeremiah's dad is working on the trim for the coop. Isn't that pretty? You just lightly burn lumber to bring out the grain. Good job. Okay. Let's take this man some beans.
And she brought me a taste of beans. I want you to try my beans. Did you see what Dad's doing?
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Now, would you like to get on with some of this bean trying?
Yeah, I'll do it.
It's the best. And I got a little baby spoon. Wow. Those are the best beans I've ever had. Genuinely. No, I don't want to share anymore.
You mean by?
No, I'm good.
You just make these?
I didn't know it was possible, but I love you more now.
Seriously, all ridiculous.
I know. Let's take this. We want her to bring this tonight so we don't have to eat pizza.
The coop is coming along. This is kind of the main thing they lack on the outside, which these are the little brooding apartments for broody hens.
Drive doors that drop down.
Oh, on the sides?
On the sides.
So you can clean it out?
Rake and clean it out. And
cool.
be able to change out their feed. Which honestly, for the feed, I may do like a PVC feeder.
Yeah.
That I feed. I drop it in from here and it goes down.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
available down there. And then the water is going to be on the back and I'm just going to run water
nipples in.
through there. So.
That's cool.
You know what that is?
Here's the inside.
I think we should get
It's looking good.
Oh, okay.
Isn't cedar beautiful wood? So pretty. So the chickens should be in the coop tonight or tomorrow. We're about to leave and go to our brother's house for dinner. So we might not round them up tonight. It just depends on what time we get home. But it's completely contained. It's pretty cool. I was just suggesting that we plant some ivy, and we're gonna do like a planter box in front of the coop. And I was suggesting planting ivy to like grow up the side of the coop. Jeremiah has learned my taste, which are very hodgepodge and kind of fairy tale. I love that look. Noah, on the other hand, is like, why would you do that? It's gonna be all trimmed out and nice. Why do you want plants growing on it?
You want to do a planter box on the ground or something mounted?
I want both. I want all the planter boxes.
No.
Yes.
Putting one on the ground and then mounting one above it.
Yeah.
No.
A window box and a planter
Okay,
box.
we're going to do a window box and we're going to leave the metal and the wood showing. And we'll go
Just a little shallow one on the ground.
I'll think about it. Okay, I'm confirming you will get the window one for sure. I cannot confirm the ground one yet.
I think we should make all the planters.
I agree. That's what you think. I'm not arguing with that.
Okay, what about along the fence?
The idea of the planter on the fence and growing the gourds. That's a good idea. That's all of it? No. Oh, okay. Dad would appreciate the bean soup.
Yeah, there's bean soup in there.
Huh? Oh, it's some legit, like...
Legit?
He just brought me a little bowl.
Too legit.
He tries to be cool.
That's going on YouTube.
Do you know what he did? He had tried to have Ashley teach him to floss. No, seriously. It wasn't. He's like, hey, you gotta go like this. He's like, I'm gonna throw my back out doing this.
Jeremiah just reminded me of something and I want to show you guys. So we're gonna walk next door. So I was telling you about the window greenhouse that we're gonna do. And I talked to my dad yesterday, which he works in a neighboring city, actually as the building inspector. So he drives around a lot and you know, deals with a lot of contractors, and I asked him to keep an eye out for me for any windows that anybody's like ditching, that they're just going to be throwing away. So I'm hoping we can get the rest of the windows we need for the greenhouse over the next couple of months. Hey, Charlie Brown. That is Jeremiah's mom's dog. He is not exactly allowed over here, so he's just sitting here in the front yard watching, trying to see if he can come because Wayne's here. Hey, Charlie Brown. He's a good dog. He just likes to chase the animals sometimes. This is the little chicken posse that actually has kind of taken up residence next door at my in-laws' house, and they made their way over into my yard. Look at these. These are called Barnevelders. Aren't they beautiful? I have one hen and 3 roosters. We're gonna have to just like scour both properties to get all the chickens because they've been, you know, pretty much wild for the last several months. Come on, Charlie. Come on. Did you get locked in my front yard? You're such a good boy. Like that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 chickens just that hang out over here, and I think there's a few more back in with the horses. My father-in-law made a really cool find the other day. Check this out. He got 2 of these windows. Can't think what they're called, but they vent. It's like glass vents. So those are going to be fantastic for the greenhouse. We have 2 just like that. And he also snagged these 2 cool old doors. So this area over here next door is actually, all of this is going to be fenced in soon. And that little spot, you can kind of see the light there, that's my goat yard. And so all of this is going to be opened up for the goats. The winter is like our major project time because we do have mild winters here in Arkansas. We'll have cold weather, we'll even get snow and ice, but it never lasts for very long. Yeah, we don't actually get really cold usually until January, and then it only lasts like 2 to like 3 months at the most. So we have cool mornings. You know, it's gonna freeze here in a couple weeks, but even with that, a lot of the days are in the 50s. So it's definitely nice project weather. It's a lot easier to work out in 50 degrees than it is to work out when it's 100 degrees. So we always utilize the time that we don't have goats and milk, that we don't have as much, you know, upkeep in the garden. We don't have to deal with that stuff. So it's the time we do projects. And right now, these main projects, the chicken coop and the greenhouse, are like the very next on the list. And then Maya's gonna be working with some friends of ours at their house, and then we will come back and he'll put his focus back on the farm. So, well, we'll get a lot done here pretty soon, and it's nice. It's just, the pace of winter is a lot easier, even if I don't like being cold. See you, Charlie Brown. Have a good day. Looks like it's time for me to go get all of my kids ready to leave the house. As you can imagine, that's a little bit of a feat, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.